From China Media Group. Right now I'm at the South China National Botanical Garden. A couple of days ago, this National Botanical Garden was officially opened. So right now we have two National Botanic Gardens, one in the north and one in the south. So today, let me show you what this garden is like after 93 days of construction. It is said that this is the largest subtropical national botanical garden in China's south with the most varieties. And take a look at those plants on both sides of me. And they are so lush. So today we have entered the breeding center of the endangered plants. So we have a master here who really has the best knowledge about all the plants here. So Mr. Nie, good morning. So coming here, I was immediately attracted by those plants. Can you give me some introduction? I see there are many different brands here. And what are those? So this orchid, and in the early days, and this is very much popular among the general public. And we also have the butterfly orchid, and these are very precious. And this one is the first red velvet butterfly orchid that we have braided. Well, coming to this side, so you can see a lot of the butterfly orchid, but this one I have never seen it before. So here we have some really special varieties. We have the butterfly orchid. This one is what we call the knife orchid. And we call it the COP15 orchid because this is in commemoration of the COP15 conference that was held in China last year. And take a look at the buds on both sides, and those are very narrow, very long, and also we have a basket right beneath. It's like a bow, and we also have a small ornament down below. This is like a slipper, so that is why we also call it the slipper orchid. And we have many different colors, and they call it the basket orchid. Well, this is traditionally planted in Indonesia, but right now they are planted here. Now here we have more varieties of orchid. Take a look at the flower buds. They're very long, just like the mustache of human beings. So how come this is carrying a red plate and that one is carrying a black plate? So the red ones are those endangered species, so we have to spend a lot of efforts preserving these varieties. And this one here, for example, it's basically indicating the way of management and breeding. So some of them are vegetables, actually, that we can very easily purchase from the vegetable market. But how come it has become an endangered species here? Well, it's actually different from the market. If you take a closer look, you will know that this is the most original species, and those that you purchase from the market, those are genetically modified. So that is why we call it the #1 orchid. So the difference between this and those sold on the market is that it contains more sugar, and it can also be used as a medical herb. So you have many different varieties already, but why are you still in a process of collecting more? Well, this is linked because this is a very large family and there are many different varieties. So we have to do our very best to preserve each and every gene of this species. So now let me show you what we can buy from the market. This is the dendrobe. So the dendrobe that you buy on the market can help you remove your body heat, and it's very refreshing. So this is actually the root of this plant, correct? Yes. All right, we're gonna keep walking and let's see what else you have here. So what is this? Well, this is fairly big. Take a look at the leaves. And this is what we call the tiger flower. So I think the name was originated from the shape of its leaf. Exactly because look at the patterns on the leaf, and these are just like the strips on the tiger skin. If you follow it around, it's in purple and it's even a little bit thorny. It has a very big leaves. If that is grown in a well, the leaves could get even bigger. So is that also an endangered species? Yes. And I can see we have many different breeds here, and I believe that you are doing a lot of efforts to preserve this species. Yes, you're right, because in the wild, it's quite difficult for these plants to grow because it has very fragile roots. We're using a lot of biological technologies to braid its roots. So take a look at this, and this is the stem and the bud. So as it grows, we have to change the nutrition pots into bigger ones, and because with the passage of time, it would give you very big and wide leaves. Well, I heard that this has actually been returned to the wild. Is that correct? Yes, we have actually brought this back to the nature, and right now in a wild, it can grow on its own. So we are protecting this species through ex situ conservation, and right now it has been brought back to the nature, and that is why it has actually downgraded in terms of the level of national protection from level 1 to level 2. So how many species have you brought back to the nature? Well, for this particular species, we have brought back to 2 sites, and I can tell you that we have more than 1,000 stems of such species in the wild. We have more endangered species here. Well, I can see that this one is pretty special. It only has one very big stem. This is the early of Putuo, because this is originated from Putuo of Zhejiang, and this is the only one in the world, and because this species is unique to China. and it has only one mother braid, so it's quite difficult to grow and to populate in the wild. So we have spent a lot of efforts just to cultivate this braid. And so from the very beginning, it has only one mother braid, but right now, from its place of origin right now to the South China National Botanical Garden, and there is a change of climate, and we can tell you very gladly that it can survive the summer here. So here we have a lot of short plantations, and what are those? So these are originally from the southwestern part of China. Those are the different plantations originally grown in the southwestern part of China, and they grow in the caves of karst landscape where there is a high density of carbon dioxide and very limited lighting. Even if they had a seed in a cracks of stone, it is very unlikely for them to grow. So that's why we have adopted some biological recovery technology so that they can truly be in today's farm. And take a look at this one. This is originally from Zhaoqing of Guangdong province. And I was actually one of the discoverers of this species. So what are the stories between you and this species? Well, because I know this was originally from the karst landscape, take a closer look, because there are two very small ornaments at the very top. So this is quite unique. And I knew immediately that this is a new species. So how well is this growing in the wild? So when we first discovered this, and we found 200 stems in the wild, and then in 2010 we went to its place of origin, and there was just one. And right now, if you go there, I bet you couldn't find even one stem because the landscape was damaged. So this species was truly vanishing at the point of time, and so that is why we engaged with ex situ conservation, and this is a seed that we are currently cultivating. So luckily it's got you. You found it, and then you brought it here. So the next step we're going to take is to bring this back to nature. And this one is another species that you found. Yes, when I first identified this, it was very small, so we just took back 3 stems. And we were very surprised to see that it has red-colored leaves, and we thought this is a new species. And then we went back to its place of origin, and we found out that there were none left. So that is what this is very precious. So we're gonna cultivate the braid, and then populate this species, and then bring this back to nature. Well, I'm truly inspired, and I take a lot of interest in this because I haven't seen those before. And take a look at this one. And this is another orchid. And take a look at the yellow color, and this is very rare. And it also has a very wide and big flower buds. It's also very thin. Well, thanks to your nutrition and nurturing, and also thanks to your introduction, I got to know more about these plants. Well, this one is very fluffy, and it's just like a dog if you touch its roots. What kind of plant is this? It has fairly big roots. So this is also a type of medical herb. And the roots part can be used as a medical herb, and out in the wild there is quite a limited number of those because of excessive exploitation. So that is why we are breeding this here. Hopefully we can meet the demand of the market, and this is right now level 2 under level 2 protection. Well, coming to this section, I'm getting more familiar because those are the very familiar medical herbs. And this one, we call it one drop of blood. Why is that? So this one contains a medical herb that is very good to cure bleeding. And it's called one drop of blood. But this is actually a Stiphnia. If you take a look at the roots, you can see that they are in small balls. So we actually have buried them beneath, but out in the wild, their roots is just like a big ball. So they carry very special Chinese names. It's also a medical herb, and it's very refreshing. It can also cure bleeding. So this one is also a medical herb. Out in the wild, it's quite rare, and thanks to our preservation, and we have succeeded in artificial breeding. All right, we're gonna keep walking and enjoying the beautiful plantations, and this one is fairly big, and this is what we call worry-free flower, and this is the new breed that we have cultivated, and it blossoms throughout the fall seasons of the year, so that's why we call it worry-free flower. And also all the flowers are cascading towards the ground. So this is just like the suit of monks. Well, that's quite unique because traditionally it doesn't blossom in all the fall seasons, but right now under your breeding it can give blossoms throughout the year. Well, this is what we call the dog flower. Why dog? Well, take a look at the flower bud. This is just like 5 dogs. This is just like 5 dogs curling together, and you can even see the ears of the dog. So, and also its fruit, it's just like the horn of a cow. So that is why we also call it the cow horn flower. So what are those? So we brought a lot from the wild this year in a process of ex situ conservation. The first step we take is to bring them back from nature. Well, I just read the plates, and they're from different provinces: Guangdong, Guangxi, and Hainan province. And this is actually a very special species imported from Guangdong. And this is actually a Chinese parasol, and it was originally planted in Dansha landscape, and I got so many different places of origins here, and I believe that you're truly living up to the reputation of being the base for subtropical plants in China. Well, here we have a lot of very special names. For example, here we got this Soulsback grass. Why we call it this name? Because this is quite resistant to drought. Even when it is grown in a desert, it won't die. And if you just give it a little bit water, it will come back to life. And so when there is a lack of water, it will switch on this mode of self-protection, and then we'll give it just a little bit of water, it will come back to life. And this is what we call the curved rainbows. Why rainbow? Well, because it has many different flower buds in different colors, red, yellow. It's very colorful. So this is the one that you have recently brought back from nature. And in this endangered breeding center, a lot of the species are very precious, and we haven't heard of it. We haven't even seen it, and a lot of the species were actually first identified and discovered by your colleagues. So this one is also very special. And this is actually a azalea, or a cuckoo flower. And this is what this is also called here as the red mountain tea, because it can also be used as a tea. So out in the wild, you can rarely find any of those. So that's why we are engaged in very careful and meticulous conservation. Well, I think we owe you a big thanks, because those are seldom seen in the wild. But look at here, they are in very good shape. Well, let me show you another plant, and you can even eat it just like a calcium tablet. So these are grown in the karst landscape, and they contain a lot of calcium. And you can actually eat them directly and add a little calcium. And they can be processed into many different products, and if you just fry them as a vegetable, you are actually enriching the calcium content of your body. Well, I found out the names of these flowers are very lovely, and for example, we got names that contain dogs or different animals, and this one, we call it the yellow flower cow ear, because its flower body is just like the horn of the cow. Well, thank you very much for giving me so much knowledge, and this is my first time arriving here. I very much want to also pay a visit outside, and let's walk outside and give me more knowledge. If there is any species that is very special, you can just give me more introduction. Well, we're now outside, and I can see so many different species outside. So how many endangered species do you have here in this space? Right now we have about 600, and 300 are under national key preservation. So I see some greenhouses, and there are also outdoor breeding centers. What are the other facilities do you have? So we have many different types of greenhouses, and right now I'm gonna take you to a isolation and quarantine greenhouse. And we cover 130 mu in the outdoor area, and it's super big. So now we are in front of this greenhouse, and tell me what you have here. Well, we have plants from overseas, and they are also planted here. Well, that's lovely. And so what are those? Well, hold your patience, and we're gonna just walk in. So these are bamboos from Southeast Asia, and we have ginger from Southeast Asia as well. Well, this is the ginger leaves. First time seeing this. So there are actually 2,000 different types of ginger in the world. And this one is originally from South America, and this is what we call the big red flower. So that is the flower. Yes. And because we are trimming these plants and they are in different shapes, and they also have different shapes of flower buds. So I like the name. It's very plain, very simple, big red flower. So do you have anything special here that visitors may immediately fall in love with? Well, hold your patience. It's right in front of us. This is originally produced in South America. You can take a smell. And no, this is called the Sidrella sinensis. Well, this smells the same, just like the tanner leaves of the Chinese thorn. Well, yes, because it gives you this very special smell, and you can even smell it from a far distance. It produces smell with its leaves, with its branches and stems. So that is why it can resist those pesticides. If you make furniture using the wood of this plant, it will sustain for a very long time, and it also gives you a very pleasant fragrance. Well, this one actually grows very fast, and its stem is very straight. Well, this one is of course not grown in outdoors, and we just trimmed it a little bit. But let me tell you, it can grow very tall, very fast in the wild. So when it is at a young age, its leaves in a color of purple. Yes. Well, what else do you have here? So this is what we call the bread tree. Well, occasionally, but the temperature is not quite there. So this is what we call the breadfruit tree. And don't touch the leaves. It can be very thorny, and the leaves are in the shape of a human palm. In its original place of origin, it can give you very large breadfruits, and you can even eat it. Well, those plants are very special, and I see some pepper here. Yes, this is also from South America, and it's super hot because the chilies, the peppers in South America, they date back to a very long time ago. Some of the peppers are even deadly to human beings. And this one is in the color of white, but gradually it will turn yellow. And this one is in the color of red. I believe this is mature, and I can simply pick one. It's super hot, and I can just smell it. This one, for example, is just like a lantern, and this is what we call the lantern pepper. Well, this one is truly smelly. Truly hot. I can smell it. And this is the coffee bean from South America. This is an economic plant, very important from an economic point of view. So where are its fruits? Well, after it blossoms, the fruits will come out from the edge of the branch. So all the plants in this greenhouse, I can see that they can give you a lot of economic yield. Well, most of the plants that we introduce in from overseas, because of their economic value. So those plants introduced from overseas, you're first breeding those in a greenhouse. I believe after a couple of generations, and you will be able to bring those to the outdoors. Yes, the next step we're going to do is to bring them and plant them in the wild. Take this one, for example. Originally, it was introduced from overseas, and then we cultivated in a greenhouse, and then when it became ready, we just planted in the wild. So this park right here was built in 1981, and you can see that the plants are very tall, and on the ground you can see a lot of buds. So this tells you they are taking a root here. They have settled down here. So this is one example indicating the success of the ex situ conservation. So in different shapes, some are very straight, some grow in curves, and also on the ground we can see many different varieties of buds just emerging from the ground, and we are not giving it too much interference. We just let it grow on its own, and right now it has formed into an ecosystem. Well, let's keep walking, and I'm gonna show you something very special. All right. This one, for example, these trees are very tall, very straight. In 1981, they were planted. I'm gonna show you the biggest one, which is also an endangered species. Back in the 1980s, we planted some subtropical plants here. Which one? Well, take a look at this biggest one, and this is what we call capper. And it has a diameter of more than 70 centimeters. Wow, I cannot even hug it with my arms. Well, this is the tree with the largest diameter, and this is a tropical tree. And how tall is it? Well, this one is more than 20 meters tall, and those other plants planted at the same time with this one. Take a look at this one nearby, and this one is growing very slowly, and we call it the 10,000-year wood. So it can live very long, but it grows very slowly. All right, we're gonna keep walking. So those are tropical trees, and we are right now at the National Botanical Garden that has the most subtropical plants. Well, this is exactly because the high temperature we have here, the temperature is very similar to the tropical regions, and that is why the tropical plants, they can grow and settle down here very easily. So where are we heading right now? We are going to go to the tallest tree. Well, I just give a hug to the thickest tree here, and now we are going to the tallest tree here. So these trees, and they have been initially cultivated in the greenhouse, and then you moved them to the outdoors, replanted them, and then this is the last forest that we are walking in, and you can see that when they grow big, their seeds will fall on the ground, take a root, and form on its own another ecosystem. So this is the energy that a plant seed can give, and it will eventually grow into a big tree, and eventually we have a big forest just like this one. So this shows you the success of ex situ conservation, and those that can adapt to our environment and temperature, they will flourish here, and we can take the seed and then cultivate it, nurture it, and then make it bigger. How large is this area? So this is only 30 mu, and the whole park is 130 mu. So I can see many different species of trees. Here we have 400 to 500 different varieties of trees, and we are soon going to arrive at the tallest tree here. I think it's this one because it's so straight. All right. So this is the tallest one you got here. We are right now at the foot of this mountain, and this one is about 30 meters. Wow, this is so straight. It's just like the electricity pole, and I couldn't see its top from here. So this is what we call the tree that can touch the sky. And the seed was actually planted in 1975, and in 1981 it was replanted here, and up until now you can see how tall it is. Wow, this is marvelous, and this is a little seed turned into such a tall tree. So this is a representative tree in tropical forest. A long time ago, it was believed that those kind of trees, they can never be grown in China because we have never identified one from the wild. But when this one stands here, we know that there are other species, tropical species in China's wild environment as well. Well, I think it's very comfortable to just take a walk in this forest, and in this South China National Botanical Garden. It's a pleasant feeling because throughout the year you can always take a walk in a forest and just relax. Yes, that's correct, and we hope that friends from all across the country can take a visit here when you have time, and I can show you now the best we've got. I showed you the thickest tree that with the largest diameter, and also I showed you the tallest tree. And I can tell you that the tallest tree is the best we got here, and I hope that those of you watching right now, if you got time, do come here, pay a visit to this the National Botanical Garden. You can listen to the story here and enjoy the beautiful scenery with your own eyes. You're always welcome to take a visit anytime. Welcome to South China National Botanical Garden.